So good morning everyone. Welcome to this writing workshop. Most of you might be appearing for academic IELTS, isn't it? Is there anyone for general training here in the class? You are, all right. But today I am going to take task 2, right? So whether it is for academic or for general training, more or less I would say it's similar. And before we start, you would have, done a lot of practice. Maybe you are practicing for a month and you know the basics of writing task 2, like minimum 250 words, right? You are advised to spend around 40 minutes for the task and things like that, isn't it? But before we actually get on to the writing task, now that is a big question, whether to appear for the paper based or for computer delivered IELTS. So I would want to know how many of you have made up your mind to appear for either say paper based or computer delivered. By the show of hands, how many of you are going to go for the computer delivered IELTS? All right, so we have maybe half of the class. So others, you are going for paper based, undecided, right? So what do you think? Why you want to go for paper based? The comfort of not facing the computer, anything can go wrong on the computer, things like that, or maybe any other reason that you have. So those who decided to go for paper based, right? So I would want to, you can tell me in Hindi, Gujarati also. क्या reason है? શું reason છે? કેમ તમે paper based opt કરવા માંગો છો? I'm not trying to promote or anything, because we have taken this FAM test, and from that I came to know that CD IELTS is much easier. Yeah, you're બરાબર. તો કદાચ ટાઈપિંગ સ્પીડ એટલી ના હોય. ઓકે, રીઝન નંબર 1. બીજું? Okay, fine. Any other? So let us see. Today, આજે writing નું છે તમને. So this is the first question that I am going to take up. So recently, just maybe it's 20 days back, right? So we had this IELTS familiarization test, right? So we actually took the test, by the way, right? So we tried out reading, writing and everything, and found that, if you take IELTS on the computer, it's much better. From the writing perspective, I'm reading to the kiddos, but from the writing perspective also, the very first benefit is that in paper based, you have to write with pen, which means you cannot make changes, right? You can strike out a word, but you cannot change a complete sentence. Can you change a paragraph? Can you swap the paragraphs? After writing, I feel, oh, I want to put it like this. This looks better, isn't it? So the very first advantage is this, editing. Because you are, even when you are writing the conclusion, and you, after writing the conclusion, you feel એટલું તો છે ને કે introduction and conclusion should match. So if you feel that, maybe if I word it in this way, right, it's a better match, or I want to change this word. Sometimes what happens in introduction conclusion, that we end up writing the same kind of words, right? You've written the introduction, now you write the conclusion, you're trying to summarize, and you feel I'm writing the same words, and you write your conclusion, and if you feel that you want to change the introduction, you can't do that in paper based. Here you can do that, right? That's the very first advantage I see. The second is, how many of you have doctors' handwritings? Some of them, right? So yeah, I can see a lot of hands raised. So handwriting is a big problem, and maybe now you can't change. We cannot change our walking style, talking style overnight. We are what we are. Yeah, of course, in IELTS language improvement can happen, but otherwise handwriting, right? So even Mahatma Gandhi could not do. Yeah. So that's the second thing, right? So you will never be judged by your handwriting. Now see, examiners are expert trainers, by the way. They know that even if your handwriting is not so good, right, they would read your write-up, see how well you have written, and other things, which are there. But we are all humans. As an examiner, if I have two write-ups, same content, one written with nice handwriting, another written with not so nice, and it makes me, I struggle actually trying to read it. Which one do you think I would mark better? Of course, the one, which is legible, clear to read. So there is kind of an unconscious bias. Consciously we don't do, but there is an unconscious bias. So examiners, have that. They are experts, but still there is a column in paper-based, right? Legible karina lakhelu hai. It's written. So examiner can always mark, that a comment that it's not legible much, and maybe I'm marking it that way, right? So that's the second thing. And the third thing would be typing speed. You would say maybe, we have always written a lot of essays, writing is much better, right? Typing we haven't typed. Of course, we can all chat. But when it comes to typing exam, we feel that we may not be that good enough. But I'll tell you, if you do a little math, right, how many words are required for both the task? 250 and 150, right? 400 words. So even if the slowest, one would type at least 10 words, even if he's typing with practically two fingers. I also sometimes type two, and then, a combination of all. 10 words is the minimum. And even with 10 words, you can finish the task in 40 minutes. I'm just saying, without thinking. Without thinking, I know everything, I'm just typing. It should take 40 minutes. Now you have 20 minutes because you think also, right? So how much time goes into thinking? Maybe 10 minutes more, 15 minutes more. Still, you'll have 5 minutes to spare, even if you are the slowest one. But most of you, right, at your age, right, so would be averaging around 18 to 20 words. How many of you are using computer on a daily basis? Right, yeah. So if not, then start using, because that is something you have to. Right? If you are not using computer, then it's going to be much more difficult, because whatever, irrespective of whatever you do, not about IELTS, whatever you do, right, computing skills are very important. At my age also, I'm learning, I'll tell you, right? I'm learning, right, many things on the computer. It's like that, right? And you are all, what is Gen Z, the new generation. So if you're not using computer, you'll be at a disadvantage, because most of the work is done on that. Anything. On an average, I'll tell you, the speed is around 18 to 20 words. That's so 20 words, right? So you would finish in 20 minutes, both the tasks, just typing. I'm doing type career na. You'll finish in, so you have 40 minutes. So any kind of thing that you have a little doubt, right, you try it out. The best way is to try out and find out. Right? And as you said in reading, but since it's a writing workshop, but still I'm taking you over. For reading, I'll tell you, even for reading, it's better. Now, in paper-based, right, the font size may or may not be comfortable for you. Can you change the font size? For a person like me, I would want a little bigger font, right? Font, really, sometimes, you feel, right, it's different from what you are practicing right now. You can't do anything about it. Here, you can change the font size. There are 3 sizes there, right? Just like our clothing, right? XL and all those sizes are there. You can change the contrast also. I like the contrast word thing also, feature, right, very much. White on black, black on white, yellow on black, or black on yellow. Of course, I mean, that is for differently abled people. That provision is also there. If someone's eyesight is very weak, right, So he can use the yellow and black. So you can do those kind of the contrast option is. So anyways, I was also thinking, very much that how, but CDIL sticks all the right boxes. So what you do is, right, so go to the IELTS website, IELTS India website. There is a test there, familiarization test. You try the test, right, and then decide, right. So whether IELTS is still there in the paper based or not, that is a different thing. But even as of now, right, it's better. And the most important icing on the cake, is there a difference between paper based and CDILs? Is there a certain advantage for CDILs candidates? Is there advantage CDILs? One skill retake. You know about this? That computer delivered IELTS, if you appear all 4 sections, say for instance, reading you could not get. Reading you got half a band less than your requirement. Now normally in paper based you have to appear it again. In CDILs you appear only for reading, right? That's an option given. You can always appear for the entire test if you want, but you have this one skill retake, right? So within 90 days or something, you can do that only once, only for one section. But that saves a lot of time, effort, and your chances of clearing the exams, is quite high, because now the next 15 days, 20 days, I'm going to practice only reading, no listening, no speaking, right? Writing, other things are done. Now my focus is only reading. So I would be able to, so all this, there are a lot of pros and cons, right? So think before, right? So now we go on to the writing thing.